Welcome to my channel. In this video, I'll introduce a three-step model you can apply to writing paragraphs of argument in your academic essay. In over 20 years of teaching in higher education, I've observed that students most commonly lose marks in assessment due to weaknesses in argumentative writing. Contextual information and descriptive narrative, often presented chronologically, is predominantly the writing I read in academic essays. And I think this occurs due to what students observe when they are taught. For example, in teaching the arts, I've observed that teaching materials often explore context and learning about what happened during a period of time, particularly in subjects which involve study of the past. And this is often a necessary aspect of learning about these subjects. Information is presented this way to teach students. However, there's a mismatch here between how information is presented to students in teaching and how students are expected to present information in an academic essay. There are several challenges with this kind of contextual or descriptive writing. Firstly, it often delays engaging with the question directly, or even at all, and so the reader is left puzzled how all of the context is relevant to the question posed. Remember that in academic writing, it's vital that the author sets out their thinking process, and so the reader is not in the position of having to make connections between information and how this relates to the question. Secondly, it doesn't explore the question from different perspectives before reaching a conclusion. This kind of critical thinking is essential in university level writing. And finally, it doesn't demonstrate higher level thinking skills, namely that students are expected to absorb information, take it apart and reassemble relevant bits of this information in a new form. Let's explore this with a couple of examples, and so you can see the difference for yourself between contextual descriptive writing and a paragraph of academic argument. And in introducing the paragraph of academic argument, I'll share a three-step model you can apply to your own paragraphs to develop your argumentative writing. In this series, I'm using the following hypothetical question, and this will be the basis of our two example paragraphs. In what ways might adult learners encounter more challenges in meeting their educational goals than their younger peers? Answer in no more than 1,500 words in the form of an essay. The information I've presented in these examples is fictional. I've made this up to demonstrate the necessary study skills. The intention here is for you to observe how I work with information, how I use the information in writing, and this models different approaches. So first, let's take a look at a paragraph of contextual descriptive writing. Pause the video to read this, and then I'll share some thoughts on this. This paragraph is characterised by historical narrative. It tells the story of adult education, from what this looked like in 19th century Manchester to the provision available across Britain in the 1960s. It establishes different educational provision across a period of 100 years or so, the impact on social mobility, and notes this as a potential challenge for adult learners. There are features of good academic writing here in that the paragraph makes use of formal language. It also makes use of evidence to support claims in the form of in-text references and a quotation. And the final sentence gives a loose signpost back to the question, challenges adult learners might face. As previously mentioned, this paragraph comprises of fictional information, which I made up for the purposes of this example. But imagining if this information were true and reflected a good understanding of the teaching materials, on first appearances, it might appear convincing as a paragraph of academic writing. Notice here how I'm making a distinction between academic writing practices and academic argument. As a reader, I find this paragraph challenging in helping me to establish how this writing is addressing the question set. It appears to be on topic. The paragraph is about adult education, and there's even an indication of challenges adult learners face in the final sentence. However, I'm left puzzled as to the relationship between the information about 19th century Manchester and the relevance to the challenges adult learners face in meeting educational goals in comparison with their younger peers. Social mobility is presented as a potential challenge, but it's not established whether this is an educational goal or the intended purpose of adult education. As a reader, I'm left having to figure out whether this relates to the question, and this task confuses me because there is some missing information, as I've just outlined, which the author of the paragraph has left out. We've explored some of the pros and cons of contextual descriptive writing when it's used to answer an essay question. Let's turn now to argumentative writing and to explore what this looks like. Here's a quick reminder of the hypothetical essay question we are answering. In what ways might adult learners encounter more challenges in meeting their educational goals than their younger peers? Answer in no more than 1,500 words in the form of an essay. And here's a paragraph of argumentative writing. Once again, pause the video to read the paragraph, and then I'll share some thoughts on this and reveal the three-step model which underlies this writing. Let's explore the features of this paragraph. This paragraph also discusses how education and its relationship to social mobility can challenge adult learners. However, in contrast to the contextual descriptive paragraph, the reader is much more aware of this as a theme of the paragraph, and it provides sustained and detailed discussion, including quotes which are then analysed. Signposts to the question through the repetition of key words are prominent at several points, and this enables the reader to understand how the information presented is relevant to a discussion of the question. This writing makes use of the three-step PEE model for developing a paragraph of argument. That is, it has a main point of argument, a claim which is expressed as a sentence at the outset. This provides a direct response to the question in offering a way that adult learners encounter challenges in meeting educational goals, issues of student support, specifically in instances where qualifications offer the opportunity for social mobility. It presents evidence to support the point of argument. Evidence is important to strengthen a claim made in the point of argument. Here, a study by Smith is mentioned, followed by quantitative and qualitative evidence, that is, statistics in the form of percentages and quotations from two students cited in the study. Evidence can be presented in various forms in an argument. This paragraph shows just two possibilities. The remaining part of the paragraph offers an explanation or analysis of the evidence and how it relates to the point of argument. It clarifies how the evidence is interpreted. It considers what the quotations show us in terms of the reasons why adult learners face issues of student support. In this instance, family, friends and colleagues fearing a change in the relationship with the adult learner. It also compares this with the educational goals of adult learners in the past and draws a distinction in noting the significance of studying for qualifications which enable social mobility. There is an additional element to this paragraph which can extend our three-step model to a four-step model known as PEEL. The final two sentences offer a link, in this instance back to the question, but this section of a paragraph can also establish a link to the next point of argument to provide a smooth transition for the reader. So let's recap our model for constructing a paragraph of argument. In the opening sentence, we express a point, a claim which offers a direct response to the question. This is followed by evidence, which supports the point or claim we made in our opening sentence. And finally, it provides an explanation, which clarifies how we are interpreting the evidence, considers what the evidence shows, and explains the relationship between the evidence and the claim or point of argument. We might consider a bonus step, a link, which reminds the reader how the paragraph relates to the question or foreshadows the next paragraph of argument. It's worth mentioning here that there is a degree of flexibility in how you might use the PEE model in constructing paragraphs of argument, and so they are not too formulaic. For example, on one occasion, I remember extending the PEE model to include 5 steps, PEEEE, introducing additional evidence and explanation after the initial evidence and explanation. Having said this, I would always include the point of argument in the opening sentence to clarify to the reader how the paragraph relates to the question. There's still opportunity for development in this paragraph of argument. For example, we might question how we measure whether qualifications offer opportunity for social mobility. Within the presentation of evidence, the reader is not aware of whether the percentages presented as evidence are statistically significant. And in some contexts, the quotes might be considered lengthy and a short phrase, just a few words, might be all that's necessary. The historical context may or may not be relevant depending on the nuance of the argument made. For example, is it important to measure change over time? In terms of the overall theme of the argument, in comparison to the introductory paragraph I wrote, which uses the same question, we might consider whether the nuance of argument, social mobility as a subset of an argument about student support from family and employers, is a little too detailed for an essay of 1,500 words. This paragraph is 356 words long, so it occupies considerable space within the body of the essay, implying this is an important point of argument. I hope that seeing examples in this video, our contextual descriptive paragraph of academic writing and the paragraph of argument, has helped you to visualise what the 3-step PEE model looks like in practice. This model will help you to construct a single paragraph of argument in your essay, and you can apply this model to all of your paragraphs, each tackling a different element of the question. Developing the skill of argumentative writing is, in my opinion, one of the most difficult aspects of academic writing, but a formula such as the 3-step PEE model provides a framework to begin practicing and developing your skills. If you found this video useful, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more study content. Thanks for watching.